let's kind of move on to the UTEP Miners here. So they kind of had a disappointing season in 2023. Gone as head coach Dana DeMille. He served in that capacity since 2018. But you guys got a really exciting and dynamic young coach in Scotty Walden. He comes over from FCS Austin Peay, where he had been the head coach since 2020 and led his team to 2 league championships in the last 2 years. He's a super high energy guy. Like I think it was a basketball game where when he was shirtless, he's all painted up, man. Like super exciting, times I think for UTEP. What can you kind of tell us about him and what he brings to the UTEP Miners?
Well, I mean, you explained him perfectly. He's full of energy. And if I'm being quite honest, at the beginning of the coaching search, I mean, that wasn't a name that I would have ever thought of. It really got hot late in the stretch. And, they ended up hiring him, and he's hit a home run so far with the fans, with everything. He's done as good as a job you can do before the season starts. And, that's saying something because it's tough. It's tough to recruit out in El Paso, but he's really proving that stigma wrong. So, yeah, he's full of energy. He's a young guy, and he's re-exciting this fan base.
As typical as when one head coach leaves, another one is hired, and most of those assistants are new as well. And such is the case for offensive coordinator. Coach Walden hires Jake Brown, who is most recently the Louisiana Tech co-offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach, and the co-offensive coordinator Ryan Stanchek, who follows Coach Walden over from Austin Peay, where he served as their co-offensive coordinator and offensive line coach to lead this Miners offense. Can you describe what this new look UTEP offense is to our listeners, and maybe who might be the actual offensive coordinator?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the actual offensive coordinator is Scotty Walden, right? He's going to be calling the plays. He said it. He said he wants full control of his offense, and he's going to be coaching the quarterbacks as well. But both Stanchek and Coach Brown, they're both really good. They're going to be really good recruiters. They're going to serve really good recruiters. They both bring extensive coaching backgrounds. Obviously, they have the Texas ties, the Scotty Walden ties, both things that work out in UTEP's favors. So I'm really excited. It's going to be a quick offense. They like to do things quick. We saw in the spring game. I mean, they're snapping the ball. I don't even know. It's so quick. It's such a contrast from the Dana DeMille era and his slower kind of slow pace offense. So it's going to be an exciting offense, and this offensive staff it's really nice.
So let's get to the position kind of where it all starts on offense, and that is the quarterback. By all accounts, it was kind of a 2-person race for the starting job. You had returner Cade McConnell, who started some games in 2023 for UTEP, and then you have newcomer Skylar Locklear, who kind of followed the coaching staff over from Austin Peay, where he was a backup quarterback in 2023. How did they look this spring, and did a leader emerge from the competition?
Well, I mean, the coaching staff will obviously tell you, hey, there's no leader, there's no nothing. We're not going to know until the day of the Nebraska game. But to me, watching that spring game, Cade McConnell he was the obvious leader. He led the offense down the field. He was much more aggressive. He led them the 2-minute drill for the win, a game-winning touchdown. I mean, I almost thought it was scripted how perfect it ended. And so, for me, I think McConnell is probably in the lead, but Locklear just fits Walden's, prototypical quarterback. He's quick, he's fast, he can run with it, but he can also make, the throws that you want a quarterback to make at this level. So I really want to say McConnell is the leader, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, Locklear certainly has the advantage of knowing the playbook more. But it's definitely encouraging, right, that McConnell, even though he's kind of behind Locklear in terms of knowing the offense and the playbook, sounds like he played really well. So that's definitely encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And McConnell started last year as the 4th-string quarterback. Before 3 other quarterbacks went down, he had his shot to start the last 6 games. So, I mean, he knows that, he's working with the chip on his shoulder.
So moving over to the running game, which lost a lot of production from 2023, losing its top 3 rushers in Deion Hankins, Torrance Burgess Jr., and Mike Franklin, but not all hope is lost. They do bring in Javon Jackson, who was a 1,000-yard back from Austin P in 2023. Calvin Hill from Texas State, Marquez Taylor, and Cam Thomas from Austin P. How did that unit look this spring?
Well, you know, if I'm being completely honest, I mean, I thought the running game was a little disappointed in the spring. And obviously, I'm not seeing everything. And obviously, you know, offensive line concerns, run scheme concerns. Maybe I think that unit will get it going down the stretch. But, you know, after Javon Jackson, he was taken out of the game due to an injury. It was a light injury, nothing to be, you know, worried about. But, you know, I'd say I'm a little, you know, skeptical to see what they bring. They obviously have the minor back position. They play both running back, wide receiver, so that'll help too. But yeah, I was a little disappointed in the running back room, but you know, it's really early and not something that I'm really completely worried about at this point.
With, you know, the new coaching staff coming in and how that running back room looked this spring, how do you think those carries shake out for 2024? A committee approach? Are we going to have a workhorse? What do you think?
Honestly, you know, they say they like to give it to a lot of different backs, but I think it'll be a workhorse in Javon Jackson. I mean, he's the guy, right? He knows the playbook. He's, you know, he's about 5'7", but he's huge, man. I mean, he could take hits, he can deliver the hits, and he's quick. So I'd say running back one workhorse, but they did pick up a TCU transfer, Corey Wren. I think it was like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously a late spring pickup. Who knows?
Do you anticipate if he is that running back one, he's going to be able to replicate his success that he had from 2023?
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, obviously he knows the playbook, and he's just a really good back. He's a talented, smart back, and you know, he had tons of Division I offers. He was a big time get for, you know, Walden and his staff, even though they were, you know, they had him at Austin P. You know, they still said they were surprised they got him. So, you know, I do think he can recreate that.
And you talked a little bit about that minor back role. Cam Thomas is listed right now at that minor back spot, and at Austin P, his pass catching ability was utilized quite a bit in 2023. Can you tell us more about that role in its offense, and do you expect Cam's usage to be similar at UTEP that it was at Austin P?
Yeah, I do think so. I think Cam Thomas, you know, and the minor back role, they go hand in hand. I mean, obviously, I don't know what it was called at Austin P, but the minor back
governor role, back maybe.
Yeah, probably the governor back. It's basically a mix of wide receiver and halfback. You know, you're going to be lining up in the slot a lot, but you're also going to be lining up in the backfield, a little bit of both. And you got to have, you know, you got to be talented at both positions. You got to be a good route runner. You got to have good eyes in the backfield, this and the third. And Cam Thomas knows that role. So I definitely think he's going to have a lot of production in this offense this season.
All right. Speaking of the passing game, they do take a hit at the wide receiver position, losing the top 4 pass catchers from 2023. And Kelly Akare, who moved on to Mississippi State, we just saw him. I don't know if it was this past weekend or the weekend before, kind of doing his thing there for Mississippi State. Jeremiah Ballard is off to Tulsa, Tyron Smith to Cincinnati. But they do bring in the aforementioned Cam Thomas to kind of help in the passing game. But they also bring in Trey Goodman, Kenny Odom, and Ashton Nickelberry over from Austin P, and Jaden Smith from Eastern Kentucky. They also return Amari Witten, Marcus Bellin, and others. Kind of how did that wide receiver room look this spring?
You know, they looked a lot better than I thought they would. You know, the returnees, they were a little disappointing. I think Amari White did a great job. He really stood out from the rest. But the rest of the returnees, I was a little disappointed in. But Jaden Smith, the guy from Eastern Kentucky, I mean, that guy is just – he's insane. He's insane. I think anytime McConnell would throw it in his direction, it was being caught. And this guy's not some 6'4", throw it up to him. You know, he's not that type of receiver. He's 5'10". He's a short 5'10" guy, but he finds his way to the ball, and he's making moves in the open field. And this and the third, he's just really good. He's really good. So I was really surprised in that wide receiver room. I thought they were going to have to be a little bit more behind, but they're not. I think they're on the right path, and I do think that you know, they can make some noise this season.
What can you tell us about Trey Goodman? He kind of showed a lot of promise when he was at Austin P. And like my natural assumption is maybe he's kind of going to be the wide receiver one for UTEP. But what do you think?
Yeah, I do think he'll be the wide receiver one. I mean, he's not only bringing a lot to you on the field, he's taking up like a leadership off the field, right? Leadership role. He's you see him at different events, different charity events, different this and the third. I mean, Trey Goodman, he just seems like a great guy, right? He's a good football player and he's doing things off the field. He's one of those core pieces that, if Scotty Walden is successful here at UTEP, he's going to be talking about how Trey Goodman and guys like him laid the foundation down.
Who else do you think might join Goodman in the starting role there for wide receiver?
Yeah, I think Jaden Smith is going to be one of them. And that last spot, I mean, Kenny Odom or Amari White, I think that it'll be down to those two. Odom caught the game-winning touchdown. It was a tough catch. It was a great pass from McConnell, and White caught a touchdown in that game as well. So it's really down to those two, and I'd honestly give the edge to Kenny Odom at this point.
So the tight ends weren't used a lot in the passing game at Austin Peay, but how do you see them fitting into this offense here at UTEP?
Well, I'm not sure. Tight ends haven't been a big part of UTEP's scheme in the past either with Dana Dimmel. So, they did pick up Martavis Collins. He was, I think, committed to Auburn at one point. It was a big-time pickup for them. They really hyped him up. He's the second highest-rated recruit in UTEP history. So, he's a tight end. They want to get him involved this year. Same thing, Judah Izinwa, a returnee from last year. He's a bit on the shorter side for a tight end, but, I mean, this guy's fast. This guy's a quick, fast guy. He's a great tight end. He's a great blocking guy, too. So I'm not sure how they're going to utilize the tight ends, but I'd assume they will in some way.
When you talked about things being quick in terms of pace, were the routes kind of shorter that we might see the tight ends get usage close to that line of scrimmage type area, or are they kind of looking more at your outside guys and drag routes and slants and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the offense was moving so quickly. I'm not going to be able to give you like a great answer on this, but in my honest opinion, they weren't throwing the ball over the middle of the field at all, right? It was a lot of outside quick routes, this and the third. So I think the tight ends will be used a lot in different, blocking schemes and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if they'll be utilized a lot in the passing game, but I think they'll be, definitely out there, run game, quick passes, this and the third.
The offensive line kind of took a hit this offseason too, losing all 5 starters from last year. What did the Miners do this offseason to kind of shore up that offensive line?
Yeah, they picked up a couple of offensive line transfers from Austin Peay. 2 great guys. I think one, Brennan Smith. He really stood out to me this offseason. They did just lose this big guy, Luma Nakeli. He's transferring to Big Ten Minnesota. So it's a tough loss. The portal gives, the portal takes. You got to move on from that. I mean, that was a big loss for them. But other than that, I mean, it's going to be tough. I think the offensive line is one of the biggest question marks. They looked all right in the spring game. I think McConnell's blue team, I mean, they really stood out to me. But that's in pass protection. In the run blocking game, it just didn't look great. It didn't look great.
If you had to pick an offensive player to have a breakout type season in 2024, who would you predict that would be?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about him earlier. It's Jaden Smith. I mean, he's a dynamite guy. He's a big time play guy. He makes clutch plays. He makes big time plays. And, another guy that I'd like to mention, Cade McConnell. If he gets the starting job, I think he's in for a big year. It's a guy who didn't expect to be playing Division I football at this point, but here he is, right? He's the big underdog story. And if he can get it done, I think he's going to have a great season.